It's the TCTV Training Show. The TCTV Training Show. They're learning how to shoot and learning how to light, learning how to mic and edit right. These are TCTV's finest in training, doing their best with focusing and framing. It's the TCTV Training Show. The TCTV Training Show. You're watching TCTV. It's the training show. The TCTV Training Show. They will get better. So welcome to Second Saturday. This is iPad for GarageBand, a free workshop. And you've all got your iPads out there. So we're just going to start by hitting this home button, which is the button on the side. And that brings it up and it wakes it up if it's asleep. And then you can see all of the apps that are installed on this particular iPad. So the one we're going to be using is this one right here called GarageBand. You see it's in the middle there. I'm just going to touch it. So here we go. You see this? This is the instruments. And you can swipe between instruments and show off different things. And so here, let's see what we've got. We've got keyboard, we've got smart guitar, we've got smart keyboard, smart bass, smart strings, smart drums, sampler, which is really fun, audio recorder, and then guitar amp, and we're back to drums. Okay, so drums. Let's start with drums. I'm going to pop that one up. So I'm just going to push this button and bring up the drums app. So this is what the drums look like, and you can see you just touch the screen to play the drums. So hit the instruments button again, and remember the instruments button is up here in the top corner.
There you go.
Okay, right. You see where the instruments is? It's right there. All right. So now we're going to go to the one that's just a drum. It doesn't have the gear around it. Okay. So just the drum, and now this is just like a drum set, and you can play it by hitting the screen. Okay, let me show you a couple of. Now that we had some fun hitting on the screen there, let me show you some of the options in this drum. So first, this is just one of the drum sets. Okay, it's called Classic Studio Kit. If I hit this button where it says Classic Studio Kit, then I can change to other drum sets. I can even do a drum machine. And then it looks different. You see that? So it's got different sounds. So there you go. So you've got different drum sets in this. And just to show you what you do first off. Now, I always think when you're writing a song, it's probably best to start with a drum track. So I'm going to just go ahead and start and teach you how to record right now, okay? So if you look at my screen, you've got just a record button up there. And if I just hit record, it's going to start playing a metronome, and then I can play the drums. So now it's going to repeat that. Actually, let's hit stop and play. So I recorded something. See, you've got my songs. These are kind of the two different menus. You've got my songs and you've got instruments, all right? And then you've got your record and your playback button. And then there's a bunch of other options over here. So he's just warning me that. Okay, so I hit this button right here where it says my songs, and it brought up this thing. And this shows you all the songs that you have that you're working on, okay? And then from here, you can actually email your song out to yourself or do other things. For instance, like if I select this and I hold it down, and it pops up these different options here. This is to delete it, that's to copy it, and that's to send it somewhere. So if I hit the send it somewhere, it gives me options. Do I want to put it on Facebook? Do I want to put it on YouTube? Okay, so now this is showing one of the tracks that we recorded. Now we can record a new track. Now that I'm in this screen, I can go up to instruments again, and then I can pick, let's see, I like to put a bass down next. So why don't we all go to the bass instrument? Does everybody know how to get to instruments? And what we're looking for is it looks like we have smart bass is what we're looking for, smart bass, okay? So click that and it comes up here, and this is like a bass guitar, right? And right now I just first want to show you that this is in a particular key. And you can tell by what key it is, by whichever note is in this particular position here. And it happens to be C. And all of these chords are chords that are in the key of C. Now, if we're going to record in key of C, we're good. If we want to change what key we're recording in, then we need to go up to one of these gear selections. It's the gear here. It looks like a wrench. And then we can change the key from C major. And we can change it to other things, like we can change it to D minor, or, you know, there's the major, there's the minor. And but we're going to stick with C. It's the most common one. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick with C for the purposes of this workshop. And so now that, let me just teach you about music a little bit, all right? A little side note about music. When you're in the key of C, if you start on C and you end on C, then your song's going to sound good, okay? So like if I do this, if I play something on this C bracket, you see how it has a bracket? There we go. And then I go to G. But it doesn't sound done until I go back to C. Anyway, that's how music works. It's called the tonic. So that's why they lay it out like this. They put all the chords that are going to sound good in the key of C, or whatever key you change it to. Let me just show you what happens when you change keys, okay? I'll change a key to key of E. Now everything changed. All of them changed. And now you've got G sharp minor, C sharp minor, F sharp minor, B, E, A, D, and D sharp diminished. All right? So those are all the chords that are in the key of E. But let's go back to C because it's an easier chord progression to learn. So I'm going to go back to C. You guys don't have to follow. Just keep your songs, keep all your iPads in the key of C, because then all our music will sound good together when we're jamming together. So there's also, this is where you can play single notes, okay? With this layout here, you can play single notes. And of course, you've got the low note that's in the key of C, the medium notes, and the highest note that's in the key of C on the bass. And then, same thing with the rest of them, but you also have this option called autoplay. And that's, you see this little switch right here? Right there? We can turn that to like 1 or 2, and then all of our strings go away, and we're just working on the bracket itself. So like I just hit the C bracket, and it just plays it for me, right? And then I can change chords. Okay, we're going to go to another chord. Let's go to D minor. And then we're going to go to F. And then we go to G, and then back to C. You hear how it sounds like it's done? You know, it sounds like a stanza. Okay, so you finish up on the C is the best way to do that. So now that we've got a drum track recorded, I'm going to go ahead and record some kind of bass track here. I'm going to hit record, and I'm going to do this. Okay, it sounds terrible because there's kind of a delay on my iPad when I'm going through the Apple TV. And then go back to C. So there. You guys all recording something? Good for you. Oh, you've got a funky sound there. I don't know where you got that. That sounds good. Okay, and you also hear a metronome going. There's also other autoplay modes. Like that was just 1. 4 sounds like this. Yeah, just got a little different arpeggio. And then I can just kind of go around in the chords and then finish on C, and it sounds done. I'm just going to scroll through here and go to the keyboard, okay? So if you find this one that has a keyboard on it, just go to that one and open that one up. Do you need some headphones, sir? Anyway, okay, here's the keyboard. This has got, it starts out with a piano, okay? And so like play the notes. right? Okay, and you can play chords. You just got to have small fingers for that. Right? Yep. So right now, one thing you need to know though, okay, this doesn't have a lot of variety on your, I mean, it doesn't have a lot of notes on the screen. It goes from C2 down here all the way up to C4. But the iPad can play a lot more notes than that. You just have to be able to slide the screen. So if you see this little button here in the middle, it says scroll. If I tap that to glissando, that lets me just do that. But if I hit scroll, then I can actually move the keys, okay? Now I can go to the higher notes up here. Really high notes. Then we can go down to the bottom notes. And then I can keep going down, play the really low notes. They're really low notes, right? So like while you're playing, you can slide and go to higher notes. And this is really, you can see how this is kind of a musical instrument in itself, you know? It's actually a piano. You're playing the screen. You see this button right here? This has got, if you push that button, this screen comes up. And then you have like bigger keys or smaller keys. Right now we're playing like the medium-sized keys. But right now we're only playing one layer of keys. We can actually hit this button here and play 2 layers of keyboards, okay, on the same screen. So you can play like the high notes up at the top and the bottom notes down at the bottom. See that? So like higher notes, you hear that? And you can play them both at the same time if you're good. You hear all that? Okay. There's some other cool things about the keyboard instrument that I want to show you, okay? I'm going to go back into the single keyboard layout so that I can see my other controls at the top. And if you click on this thing right here where it says Grand Piano, we can change the instrument that we're going to be using. So I'm going to hit it, and then it pops up here, and I've got not only these, but I've got these banks. You see keyboards, classics, bass, leads, pads, FX. So for the fun of it, I'm going to click on effects. And now I've got this whole bank of instruments. Hacksaw bass, pulsar, wind, autofocus, suspense bass. So let's see what suspense bass sounds like, all right? So I'm popping that up and... Oh, look at that! So right now I'm doing something different. It's called the pitch mode, all right? So this button, remember that button earlier it did scroll and glissando? Well, now it has a third option called pitch. Let me show you. Glissando sounds like this. Right? And then if you hit it again, you've got scroll, and that just lets you move up and down. Move the keyboard when you swipe, right? But when we go to the third one, pitch, it lets me actually play a C and bend it down. So if I record some of this like this, I go. There we go. What do you guys think about that? You like that? That's fun, isn't it? Yeah, this is suspense bass, but there's all kinds of things in here. You've got leads, you got pads, you've got one called, now this one actually has two banks of it. You see that little dot down there at the bottom? I can slide it, and then I can have a whole other set of them, synth pop strings. So now we've got, well, you hit this button here, and then you choose the bank that you want. and then you pick the bank that you want. And so like we've got all these different banks, but some of them have a little dot at the bottom so I can slide. Yeah. Some of them don't. Like the keyboards only has one bank. Classics has 2 banks. Bass has 2 banks. So there's bass sounds. But in order to get that pitch smooth like shift. Oh, and there's other things too, because we haven't gone over these little buttons here. Watch this. If I'm holding down a chord like this, wait, this isn't a good example because let me go to a pad. You hear that? Oh wait, let me try a different one. Hollywood strings. Well, the functions change depending on the one you're using. I'm going to try effects, grid bass. Yeah, this one. Oh, this is something new. Okay, this is called your arpeggiator, and it just happened to be activated on this particular instrument. But it's right here, this button right here with the red dots going up and down. And if I hit that, it tells me what kind of arpeggiation I want. Do I want an octave range more than 2? I can up that to like 4. I can play it 16 notes, or the note order, I can go up and down or random. And then it'll do this. Let's go to arpeggiator and turn that off. You have to hit the arpeggiator button again to get it to go away. And then, now it's going up octaves and down octaves. And now I can change the cutoff frequency. You hear it? Kind of sounds techno. Let's go down to let's go up to a. You see that knob turning? So that's it's changing the sound. And of course I can change the decay of the sound. Also, you have modulation, and you have a pitch bend. Now that I've got a bunch of tracks recorded, I'm going to go back to the Multitrack View, which is this button right here. It looks like different tracks, and now you can see that I have up at the top. I've got my drum track. I've got my this is a bass track. The second one down, that's a bass track. That's a, oh wait. Yeah, that's a bass track. This is a keyboard track, and this is the strings track. So like I can mute any one of these in this layout. I can shrink them down, like in editing, like you're doing in Final Cut. All of these are actually, they're virtual tracks. So they're not recorded tracks. Like I can actually record a recorded track in here. And let me just show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go to another instrument called audio recorder, and then I'm going to just record a vocal track along with this. Second Saturday at TCTV, we're gonna learn GarageBand, learn it good, yeah. Okay. So there we got a vocal track, and that looks like this. See, it's blue. It's different, okay? So now we can play that back. Second Saturday at TCTV. So now you can actually gonna learn GarageBand, learn it good, yeah. Okay. So you can chop that up, and you can get rid of parts that you don't like. You can trim it, and stuff like that. And I want to go over this sampler, okay? Sampler you're going to have a lot of fun with. Okay, so in sampler, we can actually record a vocal part like this. We can go second Saturday, like that, and then we can play it on the keys.
Second Saturday.
Second Saturday.
Second Saturday.
And we can pitch it.
Second Saturday.
Like that. Second Saturday.
like that.
You hear how it says like that at the end? I'm just going to trim that by grabbing this and then pulling it back a little bit. And then I can actually save this sample. Yeah, I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it to add to library, and we're going to call it Second Saturday. So could everybody see what I'm doing on the monitor here? There we go.
Second
Saturday. Now I can record this into the track. Second Saturday
Second Saturday.
at TCTV.
Second Saturday.
We're gonna learn GarageBand, learn it,
Second Saturday.
Anyway, endless amounts of fun, right? So that's the sampler mode. Let's see what other instruments there are real quick. You've got Smart Keyboard. Now that kind of does like what the keyboard does, but it kind of lays it out in the chords, and it plays chords for you. And you also have the autoplay. So this is a good way to put some strings in. That's smart keys. We also have smart drums. Smart drums is a good idea to use that because your drum track is kind of going to set your tempo, and you've got to have it at a good rhythm. You can't, if you're not a professional drum player, it's hard to actually just play those drum, hit the screen in the right rhythm and everything. This smart drums will do it all for you. And so that's the easy drums. That's a pretty simple thing to play around with. And then we wanted to learn about Apple loops, though. So with Apple loops, I've got to go to this thing right here. All right. So to use Apple loops, you have to be on this screen right here, the Multitrack editing screen, okay? And it's right up here where there's a little loop thing. It goes whoop, like that. You hit that button, and then it brings up all of these default, like here's a drum sound. Yeah, I can narrow it down by changing instruments. Do I want to hear drums? Do I want to hear slide guitar? Do I want to hear synthesizer? Go back to Apple loops. And let's see, descriptors, cheerful. Look, there's all different ways to navigate through these loops and to figure out. We've got genres, like we've got, there's no country. Oh, because we're on vocals. So if we get off of vocals, we got no instrument now. Now we can go to genre, and we can go to country, and this is the country sounds. So there's a drum set. Cheerful mandolin. We can reset all these keywords by hitting that. And then we can navigate by dark. Let's see what dark has. So you can make a whole song just by dragging these loops, onto different tracks, and you can layer the loops. You could start with a beat. You can go. We can get rid of reset keywords. We can go to instruments, and we can start with a drum. Well, you do that one by one from this screen right here. The question was, if you didn't hear it, how do you mix the tracks? How do you work with the volumes of the different tracks? So if I click on this right here, and now that's highlighted, track 2, which is the bass sound, then I can go up here and turn down the volume for that one. And yeah,
So on your gray bar on the left,
this,
yeah, you have a little in the middle of it. You have a pull thing.
here.
Here.
Oh, this thing.
Yeah, just pull.
Oh yeah, there you go. There's a good way to do it. So to mix down the different volumes of the tracks, this is an easier way that Peter just showed me. You could slide this little bar over, and then, or actually you swipe your finger from the left to the right. Like, well, you have to actually grab the bar. Oh look, I moved tracks around. Okay, so there it is. That's what it looks like. And so you can turn down the volume for this one or turn it up, turn down the volume. You can mute tracks by clicking the no sound icon.
Hit the headphone jack and you'll only.
That's a solo.
Track.
So you can just solo that one track, or there you go. So that's an easier way to mix them down. I also wanted to pitch iPads for video production, which we're doing next Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So hopefully you guys sign up for that and learn how to use this thing to make television. How to shoot. You can shoot with them, you can green screen, you can edit your video, and you can do it all on one device. So and then you can check these out from TCTV for nothing but a membership and a training fee. You can take the class, and after you take the class, you can reserve these and you can take them home with you and keep them for 2 days.
So you can get that after that other class.
Right. You have to take the iPad production class, and you'll see that in our training brochure.
Right.
Did you have a question, Bob?
No, but I was going to say YouTube. You can do learn how to play this on YouTube.
Like
All kinds of instruction videos.
Oh, okay. So if you wanted to learn more about GarageBand for iPad, there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube, apparently.
YouTube for iPad?
No, you go to GarageBand. You just maybe go to YouTube and type in GarageBand for iPad, and you'll see a bunch of tutorials.
Get stumped on anything.
Yeah. So let's see, what other instruments did before we got like a couple of minutes left, let's see if there's any of these that we haven't gone over. We did smart keys, we didn't do smart guitar, we did drums, guitar amp. This is for using, if you have a external device that will wire into it, then you can actually hook up a guitar to this, and then this gives you like effects, guitar effects. But most of us don't have that, so we don't use that. Audio recorder is going to use the onboard mic. We've got the sampler, we've got the smart drums. The only thing we didn't do is the smart guitar, which is fun, but it's a lot like the smart bass, so you've already seen this. Same deal with the chords versus notes. You can play just notes and chords, and you can play autoplay chords. There you go. So, and also there's multiple guitars on this, right? You've got a hard rock guitar. Hard rock guitar will let you add distortion. Yeah, so you got different sounds on the guitars and stuff. Yeah. And I think the same thing for the smart bass, that you have you've got the different basses, but then you have, you might have some effects on some of these basses. No, they don't have effects, but. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up there, guys. Thanks for coming to Second Saturday. And so we do this every second Saturday of the month. So come in April and we'll be doing something different, all right? So I'm Robert Cam. Thanks for having me. And make sure you sign up for those iPad production classes at TCTV and check these out. Okay.